Padres Hot Tub is a community that comes together 12 months a year, not only to talk about the San Diego Padres, the team that we all share a common love for, but also just to be together. And you can be a part of that community at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Just last night, as we record this on December 8th, Sunday evening, Raphie and myself were down at Stone Brewing in Little Italy to be with Padres Hot Tub patrons for our second annual winter social / trivia night put on by Monty, one of our great patrons who is in town, lives in Cincinnati now, but is in town. He's a trivia host. He put together a great game. We had an incredible time. And that's just one of the things that happen all the time. Hey, our patrons talk to each other, lend stuff to each other. I'm wearing Chiloa's jersey right now that he lent to me for a work project. Chiloa, I've got it. I can give it back to you. But you're not hearing this because patrons get ad-free versions of our shows as well. So I'll have to contact him separately. But for you, my contact is this: patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Trust me when I tell you, at our lowest level, we are practically giving you value with what you get from our Discord, from our bonus shows, and from our ad-free podcast. So check it out for yourself. You can tell me I'm wrong later. I bet you won't. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Welcome to the Padres Hot Tub, everybody. Craig Elsten, Chris Reed, Raphie Cantor, together with you on Monday, December 8th, as the winter meetings begin for Major League Baseball. We may get some more Boris puns this week. We may get some more Boris clients signed this week. Every once in a while, there's a big trade at the winter meetings. You know, like when the Padres traded Juan Soto. That was around the winter meetings, wasn't it? So sometimes there's Padres news, really not much of the last few years, but we're here to grind on whatever we have for you. Gentlemen, how are things going? Chris, starting with you. What's up?
Things are going well, sir. Would really love to see an AJ Preller extension, but that's definitely not going to happen until he gets back from Orlando. Yeah, I think Soto was traded on the last day or maybe a day or two after, but there's some movement around the league, but the big chips haven't really fallen besides Dylan Cease, and we knew he wasn't coming anyway, and we're not going to be cashing any big chips anyway. I'm excited. We signed our first free agent. That would mean the first major league free agent. That would mean I was right. Both of you were wrong. December was the month we were going to sign our first free agent, and his name was Ty Adcock is what his name was. And we are happy to have you. Welcome to San Diego, Ty Adcock.
We hope he'll grow into his role.
So, I can't remember the parameters. Like, was it just that it had to be a major league contract? Was our
major league contract?
Did we not write the task properly? All the information's in the task. I think we may have not written it properly and given because to me, Ty Adcock does not count. But
major league deal. It was that we clarified it was a major league guaranteed contract, and guess what? That's what our guy got, and he's a trout fisherman. Ty, check out them half day, 3/4, full day boats. You're gonna have a blast, buddy. Go ahead and book your trip over the All-Star break. I feel confident. You will have the time.
Damn it.
Well, I am excited for the winter meetings. I think that the baseball hot stove is going to be absolutely ablaze. For folks who don't know, the winter meetings are historically the site of the biggest offseason trades. I mean, this is the time period that set, Miggy Cabrera to the Tigers. Joe Morgan to the Cincinnati Reds was a winter meetings trade.
Wow.
Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter to the Toronto Blue Jays was a winter meetings trade.
Oof.
Frank Robinson to the Orioles was a winter meetings trade. Chris Sale to the Red Sox. Gary Carter to the Mets. The Scherzer, Granderson, Edwin Jackson, 3-team Tigers, Yankees, and Diamondbacks trade. So anyway, I bring all those up because I do not think the Padres will be a part of any of those, unfortunately.
You don't think we're getting a Frank Robinson?
Well, I don't think that we have any sort of firepower with which to trade. I don't think any of our guys any of our prospects who would potentially elicit some sort of star returning are good enough or seasoned enough to generate any sort of buzz for a response. And maybe this can be our transition to the rumor of the day. But I personally am of the belief that none of the guys that we have on the roster who we might be selling would be buzzy enough, team controlled enough to generate a significant return. And that rumor of the day that I'm addressing is the fact that Dennis Lin released an article this morning that said that the Padres are entertaining, quote unquote, trade offers for top starter Nick Pivetta as a salary dump / like a miniature version of the Soto trade, essentially. Like you break the omelet. No, that's not right. Pivetta's the omelet, and then you break a couple of eggs, which are the controllable starters who you'd be getting back theoretically. What is your guys' take on this rumor?
Nick Pivetta had about 85 to 90th percentile outcome for his 2025 season, but I don't think it's insane that he could repeat it with Petco Park working in his favor and another season out of Ruben Niebla. But the fact of the matter is the team's greatest need, I don't know about greatest, but one of the most glaring one is one or two starting pitchers. And if you trade away the guy that I'm fairly certain we all agreed was the most likely to give us the most innings this year, you're really kind of doing a step forward and 2 steps back. So, AJ Preller is going to do some creative stuff, and Pivetta is a quality established arm, and I can see why people would want him, but I don't see how ditching him makes you more competitive in 2026. And it seems to me like AJ Preller, his MO each and every year is just going to be as competitive as he possibly can in that given year. And trading Nick Pivetta away doesn't do that. So I wouldn't think it's likely.
I will always say, and I think you guys have heard this from me over the years, you can move anybody. I will listen to it. What do you get back? Right? The way I read this, and I will offer apologies in reverse if I'm just dead wrong about this, okay? But the way I read this is that Dennis Lin, who has, I think, kind of famously burned his AJ Preller bridge in the fall of 2021 with the Ken Rosenthal, Dennis Lin, Crabs in a Pot, big Preller piece on The Athletic. It kind of, the word on the street has been that his front office direct sources kind of dried up after that, and that he has more oblique looks into the organization. I would very much believe that other GMs or the agent of Pivetta has said, hey, like, you know what? We made a call on Pivetta and the Padres are listening. And that he's getting it from the other side because other teams want Pivetta, and AJ famously will talk about anybody on his team. He will talk to you about anybody. Oh, you want Manny? Well, let's talk about how it would work, You want Jackson Merrill? Well, it's, this is what the price tag would be if you want Jackson Merrill. But it's not in order to tear his team down. It's in order to make a baseball trade to continue to extend the window of competition. So that's a long-winded way of saying if they make a baseball trade involving Nick Pivetta that is trying to make this team better in 2026, I'm here for it. Show me what it is. Show me who we're getting back. if they're making a trade of Nick Pivetta because his cash salary goes up $18 million this year, while there is no competitive effect on the Padres' average annual value in terms of the competitive balance tax, that stays the same, then they are doing that because they're cash poor. And that is a really, really difficult thing to wrestle with. But I've also got to say, it's the same thing we've been told 3 winters in a row. And this time, every winter now, and I did look it up, it was the last day of the winter meetings, 2023, that the Juan Soto trade was made. Usually this time of the year, the last 3 years, has always been about getting rid of something, losing something, not doing things. And so far, this one has worked perfectly. Mike Schilt has left. Dylan Cease has left. Michael King is probably right out the door behind him. And the trades we're talking about are a trade Cronenworth, trade Pivetta, trade something off the team. We can't possibly add payroll. We can't possibly move. And then each of the last 2 years, by the end of spring training, one way and another, a roster has been put together. So I'm going to kind of dismiss this and say that it's not that it's like poorly reported. I'm sure it's true, but that the only way this comes true is if the Padres are actually going to do the 2026 tighten the belt chastity season. You know, we're not going to sign anybody. We're going to trade away salaries. We're going to reduce payroll. We're going to make do with less. We're going to offer a lesser product to our fans. We know we're going to take a hit at the box office. We know we're going to take a hit in ratings, but we simply cannot continue unless we do these things because financially we can't afford it. We'll go broke. Like, if we're going to actually do that, then we'll trade Nick Pivetta for 2 AA starters.
Yeah. You know, I get it. Like, just looking at the numbers, Nick Pivetta's salary was $1 million last year, and I believe it goes up to, is it 16 or 19? 19.
Yeah.
It goes up to 19 this year. So I don't know what Nick Pivetta on a 1-year deal would fetch on the open market. It would be more than 19 million, but it wouldn't be a shocking amount more than 19 million. So you have to wonder how much surplus value you're getting back on that at that point. And if you're a team that would be in the market for trading for Nick Pivetta, you would want him to be worth it. But then if he's worth it, he has an opt-out next year. So you're really just paying for 1 year, you know. Otherwise, if he's bad and you trade for him, then you're saddled with the 2-year remaining on the contract that he could opt into if Nick Pivetta has a poor season. So I just don't really think he makes sense as a trade candidate, period. I don't know why any opposing GM would want to trade for him unless you're like super confident that you are going to get a good year from him. And even then, what would you be willing to give up for a guy you're getting at almost basically market rate? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Concur. Let's hope that doesn't happen. I'm just straight up. That shouldn't happen. And the only way it should happen is if it is a sell high on Nick Pivetta. Like, we think we've truly gotten the best year of Nick Pivetta's career, and we're going to let someone else take the gamble. But doesn't make any sense structurally from the organization. When Ben and Woods talked to me about this morning, it just made me kind of come back to, and I'll just flog the horse one time and move along, the Fermin trade. Like, how much damage has been done in terms of our flexibility by not having Bergert as a possible option and Kolek as a backup option. You know, I don't necessarily know that Stephen Kolek's going to be a major league, you know, every turn starting pitcher. He looked like that for a little while, and then he really didn't look like that in Kansas City. But nonetheless, those are 2 arms that we could be penciling in right now and not worrying about trading Nick Pivetta to try and go get something else or to free up money to get something else. Like, you know, and that comes back to let's play the old tune. You didn't get Luis Camposano in your lineup ever, so you had to go and trade 2 starters to get a guy named Fretter. And it's Freddie, but
It's not Fredder.
but
Good.
That's
We make up songs here. Is what we do.
We do make up songs occasionally.
We have fun. Yeah.
We have fun. I don't see like that trade doesn't make it seem like AJ Preller was like playing 4D chess into the future when he signed Pivetta to the really, really backloaded deal that basically guarantees 2 years. You could make the case that maybe the Will Wagner trade is doing so with our beloved Jacob Cronenworth. But with how Wagner performed last year, I wouldn't feel comfortable slotting him at second base, batting 8th in an everyday championship caliber lineup.
No chance. Again, this is the bleak Seidler winter. Last year it was ownership dispute. The year before it was ownership dispute. Who's going to take over? Who's going to be the control person? Peters died. Soto's traded. Everything's changed. The year after that, it's Scheel lawsuit. Seidler bros? Scheel? Which? Oh, all the reports are this team's handcuffed. They can't do a thing. It's impossible. Now we're fast forward another year. AJ Preller still hasn't signed a contract extension. Still. We have gotten beyond. We are now well beyond the point of, they're talking. We're past that. The agreement to get a deal could be done in 15 minutes. And then with the lawyers, a couple of days. If you had the same terms on both sides.
Yeah.
But clearly that's not the case, or else it would be done. And if they were going to get rid of him, they would have just gotten rid of him. They would have had a mutual parting of the ways. The idea
he would not have hired Craig Stammen. That would not have happened.
He hired Craig Stammen. He was given the latitude, and that's clearly a Preller pick. Clearly a Preller pick. So I continue to lean on that to think that AJ Preller's goal is to be the general manager of the San Diego Padres, and maybe for a very long time. His goal is to be a lifetime GM of the San Diego Padres. And I think he continues to encounter some obstacles in the ivory tower en route to that path. And so here we are, and he's got the leverage here, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I wrong? I think he's got the leverage to be like, hey, if you're not going to give me the extension I want, I can go be baseball's best GM free agent in 2026. And about the only thing, by the way, heading into a labor dispute, about the only thing that a baseball team could actually spend for is their president of baseball operations, something they could actually invest in. So he might be literally the only thing on an empty baseball market next year if the Padres don't ante up.
I completely agree. I mean, I really am just thinking it boils down to they want to sell the team. They're hoping to get a rich person, Steve Ballmer or someone else, to come and buy the team. And until that point, they're kind of frozen, because if they don't sell the team in the 2026 season, then what they're going to want to do is probably get rid of AJ Preller and get some sort of ghoulish P-bop GM who will come in and be willing to oversee the teardown of the franchise. So unfortunately, I think that just calling a spade, that's what's going on with the team, because otherwise I don't really know why else they wouldn't. I don't know what kind of price AJ Preller fetched in his last. Do we know how much money he makes a year?
I don't think it's published. Just
I don't
Mike
think it's
Schultz's
public either.
salary was never published.
But it's going to be. But we knew that he was making $2 million a year because he walked away from.
No, they said at least.
Something.
They said at least, and that he was in the upper half of what managers are making.
I mean, our friend AI says reports from late 2023 indicated his contract paid him between $7 and $10 million annually over 3 seasons.
No,
have you ever heard anything like that?
No.
No.
AI
No.
slop.
Stupid AI. Probably got that from some aggregator who got that from one of those Twitter dudes.
The deal
Hambone or
might have
whatever
been
his
the
name was. I
5-year
forget his
deal
name.
might have been worth $7 to $10 million annually in total, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
like
not making more than Dave Dombrowski or something. Like, come on.
Yeah,
No.
He might want to. He might want to make more than all of them. He might want to get a 12-year deal.
I think it's probably coming down to years, Craig, and that both sides don't feel a need to rush. AJ's doing his job right now. This is going to be one of the busier times a year for him, as maybe second only to All-Star when you're doing the trade deadline and you're doing the draft and you have the trade deadline on the horizon. Like, that seems like a few busy weeks, and this seems like a few busy weeks. So, but I gotta say, it shouldn't take this long. So, like, it's up in the air.
It's a mystery. And it's one that I don't think is going to be resolved because AJ Preller doesn't talk. That's why every time you see, and again, I'll just go back to the Pivetta thing right at the top of this. Like, did AJ say it? Of course not.
No.
Does it come out of his front office? No chance. No chance. Who had Craig Stammen on the bingo board? Come on. No chance. None. So therefore, when you read a report like that, that is a reporter. I'm not impugning his motive. He's got to work. He's got to post. That's his job, is to get articles and get news and get reporting out of the winter meetings. And if you can't get it from the primary source or a secondary source that's close, you go to a tertiary source, and that's people who are talking to those people. And you say, hey, what are you saying to them? What are they saying to you? And they say, hey, listen, I heard Nick Pivetta could be available. And then ta-da, story. Let's write it through and discuss why. So until it, as always, he will work in a veil of secrecy until he reveals what he wants us to know, and then he'll know his way through it. Do you see any reason why this is going to change over the course of the winter?
No.
Like him reaching a deal?
No, just the Padres being silent, quiet.
No, we're in the post Peter Seidler era. It's going to be exactly what it's been.
Yeah,
we're in the come down.
Yeah,
we're in the come down, and now we're at a point where the prospect credit card bill is coming due, and the payroll credit card bill is coming due. I really resent. There's some things in that Dennis Lin article that I really grinds my gears. One of them is the implication the Padres will be forced to consider trading Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm annoyed by that for a couple of reasons. One, that they will be forced to consider is kind of an absurd. The Padres could have considered trading Fernando Tatis Jr. now. Like, it just
right.
Purely considering it is it's that's such a purely clickbaity sort of phrasing. But I don't see that the Padres could possibly trade Fernando Tatis Jr. at least until his contract reaches full maturation and he's making like $40 million a year, at which point what team is going to want to trade for him, because the moment you trade for him, the moment you signal to the fan base, we're giving up, don't pay for season tickets, which are going up year over year over year. So I mean, I know this is kind of a roundabout way to answer your question, Greg, but I don't think that they're the levers are kind of stuck because they can't go into rebuild mode because they would completely alienate their fan base who they've raised season ticket prices on consecutive years in a row. And they can't spend because the team's trying to sell and the owners want to keep payroll as slim as they possibly can. So they're just kind of stuck. And I think we're just going to be in a position where we're going to have to see where the chips fall with other free agents like last year and see who we can get from the bargain bin. I mean, Mike Soroka just signed with the Diamondbacks for $7.5 million. That's kind of someone who I figured the Padres might be in on. those are the type of deals that I can expect. And I would say they might be waiting for the Mike Sorokas of the world to sign so that they can get even the more bargain bin guys. Okay, like who's going to sign for $4 million? We already saw them pounce on Kyle Hart. And
I mean, what's not to like? When you've seen what you've seen, sign up for more.
All you have to do to come up with an article about the Padres is go to their payroll page and look who's making a little too much. And then you can, ad lib your way to the trade. Would it surprise me if they do what they did with Matt Carpenter and unload Matt Carpenter for next to nothing? They gave up Ray Kerr in that trade, shed some salary. It wouldn't shock me if they did that with Yuki Matsui. I feel like that's the type of transaction we could see. They've got 5 spots on their 40-man roster. All we know is that they're going to fill them up, and we can guess that at least 1 or 2 of those are going to be veterans that almost nobody else wants, that are promised some playing time and a playoff run. And that's what the Padres have to offer right now. They don't have a loaded system. 30 out of 30 right now, depending on which ranking you look at, maybe 29, but right at the bottom of the league because of the team that AJ has built with his prospect capital. And I don't think they're going to trade Ethan Salas. They just promoted Miguel Mendez to the 40-man roster, and that's a guy that we might see later in the year, but he's not ready. So that means you need to fill them with guys who can go now. And I don't see taking away guys like Pivetta helps at all, and so it doesn't make any sense.
The reason I agree with you that I don't think they're going to trade Ethan Salas is because Ethan Salas doesn't have enough trade value.
He says at the lowest he's been.
Yeah.
Since he was 15 years old.
Yeah, it's wish upon a star stuff right now for Ethan Salas. If you're an opposing general manager or president of baseball operations, it's like, well, maybe this guy, maybe he's on the verge of the thing that makes him an obvious top 5 prospect again. And maybe that's coming in April and May as he takes the AA by storm and destroys worlds, But if Ethan Salas had any value, I would say he's 100% getting traded. And that literally anything that's not nailed to the floor is going to be traded by Preller in his last year as GM to try and raise the team's chance of winning as high as he can possibly metrically move it up. And then he bails at the end of the year and leaves the wreckage behind because he knows, as we've all come to accept, that at the end of his life, Peter Seidler decided to make some really, really ill-fated, ill-decided contracts, which are now the albatrosses around the neck. I almost said anchors, but anchors help a ship stay in place.
That's right.
Instead, they are the albatrosses around the neck of the front office that make it perpetually harder every year to maneuver. You're always maneuvering around these giant blocks in Machado and Bogart's contracts that don't have value to match their performance. So because of it, it becomes increasingly harder every year. And as you said earlier, the credit card on the payroll and the credit card on the prospects continues to be leveraged year by year to push that denouement down the road to the point where we trade major things and just get worse. So, and that's not to be doomer. It's just to say, everyone, that's the dynamic we're fighting with every single year is this, we can't possibly do it. And then by the end of the year, Preller figures out a way and we do it.
Peter Seidler said he was going to speak from the grave, and for better or worse, that language was, I'm locking down a particular side of our infield come hell or high water. And those guys are going to play there for the foreseeable future, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, we could talk about that all day and certain doomers would love to. Jake Cronenworth rumors. I don't know. You're opening up a hole that is Will Wagner going to play second base? Like, Luis Urias is not around the corner anymore, you know? Like,
he's the new Jake. Did Will Wagner pitch? I know his dad did pretty decently, but I don't know if Will has it in his background.
yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can think is that they would be signing like Sungmoon Song from the KBO and trying to recreate some Ha-Sung Kim magic of like, oh, here's a guy who slept on who could come in and he's projected to get a 2-year $16 million offer, so $8 million a year. So you're saving $4 million on Jake Cronenworth, I guess, for a big risk. I don't really know that that's really worth it. So,
yeah, and again, like if you're the opposing GM, what's your upside on trading for Jake Cronenworth? What are you going to give up to like lock down, a top 12 second baseman?
Yeah,
I mean, remaining guys who are projected to be signed in this offseason who can play second base. Bo Bichette, Jorge Polanco, Luis Ariz, Ahmed Rosario, Luis Rengifo, Willie Castro, Ramon Arias, Tyro Estrada,
Glaber?
Dylan Moore, Isaiah Kiner Falefa.
Wow.
Like, it's
no,
rough.
thank you.
It's rough. I'd take Jake Cronenworth
3 years
over
down the
anyone
road.
who was
Wait,
mentioned.
I remember when
except for Bo
Tyro
Bichette.
Estrada had 15 homers and 18 steals. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. Jake's better than all those guys. Like, he's literally better than every one of those guys. What was his on base percentage? 360? Can we not trade our highest on base percentage off the team?
Who was hitting 7th
nice.
to accommodate Luis Ariz. Anyway.
Yeah.
367 on base percentage. Yeah.
367. Seems pretty good to me. Yeah, I don't think you can trade Jake Cronenworth. I don't think you can trade Nick Pivetta. I don't think you can trade either of those players and try to win.
The thesis statement is if either of those guys go, it's simply because they're trying to shed salary and the team will be worse. That's it. There's I don't think there's an upside to either of those trades.
No. So let's please AJ, not that. Really the only news that's come out other than this so far is that yesterday the Veterans Committee decided to poop out a result of Jeff Kent joining Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame, and that will take place this summer of 2026. Jeff Kent will go into the Hall of Fame. He'll be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And Jeff Kent did hit the most homers of any second baseman in Major League history. So there is that. And he drove in a lot of runs and he played a long time in his career. He was absolutely a respected veteran. Lou Whitaker isn't in the Hall of Fame. And the idea that Jeff Kent is going to be and Lou Whitaker isn't is really kind of, I don't know, almost like dumb. It just like doesn't make any sense to me. And Bobby Grich isn't in the Hall of Fame, and Dale Murphy isn't in the Hall of Fame, and he was on this ballot, and so was Don Mattingly. And like, I think any of those players deserve to go in more than Jeff Kent, who was a really, really good player, but the best part of his career was spent drafting in the wake of Barry Bonds in the Giants lineup. And like having the unique position of a guy with a 600 on base percentage hitting in front of him. And I have a hard time saying Jeff Kent was a Hall of Famer. I think he's a good Hall of really good, but not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much. Like he's the definition of an aggregator. Like he got 11 years of, solid all-star level baseball, and that's really good. Not quite all-star, all of them, but I just can't stand what the Hall of Fame has done. Like, you cannot tell the story of baseball without Barry Bonds. You can't tell the story of baseball without Roger Clemens. We know what they did, and we know that for generations, baseball players were using substances to enhance their performance. And, there's guys in the Hall of Fame that did steroids, and we don't know about it, and that they're just sitting there wearing their jackets, happy to be in the club, while these guys go. I can't stand Barry Bonds as a person. He seems like a total tool, but so does Jeff Kent. And if I'm gonna root for somebody to like get in, it's going to be the guy who is the best in the game, right? So it's yucky. I don't like it at all. Fernando Valenzuela didn't even get 5 votes, so he won't be considered, just like Barry Bonds. And I think you can't really tell the story of baseball without Fernando Valenzuela either. And I know his statistics don't merit Hall of Fame consideration. I know his statistics don't warrant him getting a bust. But like I said, this is the story of Major League Baseball. And you can tell that story without Jeff fucking Kent. But you can't tell it without Fernando Mania or without Barry Bonds. So I find it really yucky.
You know what pisses me off?
Go ahead, Raphie, sorry.
You know what pisses me off?
What's that?
I think I've made about $60 million playing baseball, and I want this freaking $1 million in this game more than anything. And it's not even $1 million. It's $600,000 by the time Obama takes it. I'm a Game 7 World Series loser. You know, I played the biggest games in the world and the worst games in the world, and this just sucks. That's what I think about this.
Yes, sir. Jeff Kent's exit speech, Survivor season 26, baby. Or 25.
Yes. Survivor. He was Philippines, right? That was his. Yes.
Denise's win.
Malcolm and Denise. Yes.
Nasty.
But yeah, everyone go. If you want to just kill 30 seconds, it's great. Jeff Kent getting voted off Survivor. It's fantastic.
He was so mad.
And yeah, I mean, I think I have a question for you guys. You mentioned Lou Whitaker already. Do you guys think Chase Utley is a Hall of Famer?
More than Jeff Kent. But
well, yeah, exactly. But no.
So Chase Utley and Lou Whitaker are right next to each other. They are 12th and 13th all time in terms of JAWS score, which is Jay Jaffe's metric for Hall of Famers. It's like a combination of like 7-year peak WAR stuff. And right now, Jeff Kent is sandwiched in between Ian Kinsler and Marcus Semien in terms of JAWS score.
God, legendary figures, just titans.
Do you think Jose Altuve is a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Yeah, like eventually.
Well, I mean, he's going to get... But do you think even with the cheating stuff, he'll get in?
That's the thing. That's exactly the thing. Like,
yeah, I think he will.
If you're going to disqualify Barry Bonds, you should also disqualify Jose Altuve for wearing a friggin' wire, you know?
Unproven, whereas the cream in the clear is proven from Balco.
Do you think that Dustin Pedroia is a Hall of Famer?
No.
Okay, so Altuve and Pedroia are next to each other, both just ahead of Ian Kinsler, who is just ahead of Jeff Kent by this metric. The two highest second basemen who are not in the Hall of Fame are Robinson Cano, who will not get in because of steroids, and Bobby Grich.
Who really should have gotten in, but now never will.
Never will. 71.1 career B-WAR for Bobby Grich, 58.7 JAWS score. That's 8th all time. Higher than Jackie Robinson, higher than Ryan Sandberg, higher than Roberto Alomar, Craig Biggio, all of those guys.
Yeah, it's true. And you can always go down a slippery slope with Hall of Fame. And at the end of the day, being inducted into the Hall of Fame is getting a plaque in the wing of the museum. Like there's a Fernando Mania display in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. So Fernando is in the Hall of Fame, and there are players who deserve to be honored in that sense, that they deserve a display in the Hall of Fame, if not a plaque, and Mark the Bird Fidrich, another example, someone who's exploded on the scene and then disappeared just as quickly, but made an indelible imprint on the culture of the sport in the brief time he was outstanding. There are other examples of that along the way, but the great of the great that get their plaques in, to me, Jeff Kent just doesn't rate. Like he just doesn't rate comparatively. There were a lot of 15 homer seasons with the Mets or the Indians, or he was always good. He was always good hitter, bad defender, and dickhead. But despite the dickhead part of it, I don't know. All this really did was I heard the boys talking about it on the radio this morning, which led to a discussion with my son because the name Barry Bonds was brought up in terms of did you ride the coattail of Barry Bonds? And then my son was like, I think Barry Bonds has to be good because Kanye did a song about him. It's true.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, he doesn't
Yeah.
know. And so then, like, in the 5 minutes left in our car ride, I told him that length version of Barry Bonds' story. 7 MVPs and already a great player on a Hall of Fame track in the 1998 home run race, and his jealousy of seeing Sosa and McGuire elevated above him when he was a way better player than either of those players. And for him to say, okay, what can I do? I'll not only juice, I'll do it the smartest. I'll get the best. I'll get the best available guy to help me. And then he did. And then he hit 73 home runs with a 600 on base percentage and got 7 MVPs. And then he was banned and everybody hated him anyway, which really helped precipitate his disappearance from the sport. And and have a great day at school, son. I'll pick you up at 3:30. And that's pretty much how that went. Hey, anything else Padre way?
I'm hoping we have something to talk about next week, but I also know the monkey paw might curl with that, given that the winter meetings are coming and we might have something not so fun to talk about.
Right.
But no, I mean, this is the dog days of the off season for sure.
Hey, it's the holiday wonderland at Petco Park now through the 23rd. Go spend a whole bunch of money. If you spend $15 million yourself at the holiday wonderland, maybe we got a shot at
Maybe we won't trade Nick Pivetta.
Maybe we won't trade Nick. You want Jake Cronenworth? Go drop 8 figures at the Petco Park holiday wonderland. And wild horses right around the corner too, baby. That's how we build ourselves a roster.
The bleak Seidler winter, the cold winter sun. It's just here, and it's bleakly illuminating our path forward. But you know what? This is what happens in December. We'll continue to be on the beat. For Chris and Raphie, I'm Craig. Go Padres. Go do something. Something good. Go Padres.